Look at the person sitting across from you. Right now, they could be lying directly to your face, and statistically speaking, you might have absolutely no idea. Why do 90% of people fail to spot a lie, even when their gut is screaming that something is wrong? You have probably felt that exact sinking feeling before. That quiet, nagging anxiety, when a partner, a coworker, or a friend is telling you a story and somehow, the pieces just do not fit. So you start overthinking every word. You blame yourself for being paranoid. You feel naive because you cannot prove anything. You replay the conversation in your head, again and again, wondering if you are crazy for doubting them. That self-doubt is not your fault. It is exactly what a skilled manipulator wants you to feel. We were all taught the same thing as children. A liar cannot look you in the eye. Society trains us to believe that if someone is hiding the truth, they will look down, stare at their shoes, or nervously dart their eyes around the room. But what if the most dangerous liars do the exact opposite? What if the person manipulating you is staring straight into your eyes and using your own biological trust system against you? In just a moment, you are going to learn the exact 1-second eye movement that even experienced interrogators take seriously. It is a micro-expression so fast and so subtle that you have probably missed it 1,000 times in everyday life. I used to think I was great at reading people. I thought strong eye contact meant honesty. I thought confidence meant transparency. But the truth is far more unsettling than that. Because this all comes down to a tiny, involuntary reaction in the eye. Something no human being can consciously control, no matter how much they practice in front of a mirror. You are about to understand the neurological reason people look up and to the right when they are fabricating a story. And more importantly, you will learn how to use the 70-30 baseline rule to catch deception in real time and protect yourself from being manipulated again. Because the eyes are not poetic windows to the soul. They are control panels, raw biological control panels. Think about the last time you were deceived. That crushing realization that the truth was right in front of you, but you did not know what to look for. You are not alone. The human brain is wired for connection. It wants to trust. When someone looks at us, the brain can release oxytocin, the bonding hormone which makes us feel safer, closer, more willing to believe. And skilled liars know this. They hijack that process. They use your empathy as a weapon. But today, we take that weapon away. Today, we look at what really happens inside the nervous system when someone is forced to lie. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Let us start with the most obvious type of liar, the evader, the amateur liar, the one who tells a lie and immediately looks at the floor, like someone dropped a bill in front of them. This is the stereotype everyone knows. The person avoids eye contact. Their eyes dart around the room. They look nervous, and most people assume that means guilt. But that assumption is dangerous, because looking away does not always mean deception. Sometimes it means anxiety. Sometimes it means introversion. Sometimes it simply means the person is trying to think, trying to form a complicated sentence, trying not to feel overwhelmed. An anxious person may avoid eye contact not because they are lying, but because the social pressure feels too intense. Punishing someone for looking away is a terrible way to judge honesty. And that is not even the biggest trap. The real danger begins when you meet the opposite type, the overcompensator. The overcompensator is exactly why blind trust in eye contact can destroy people. I remember a negotiation years ago. A former business partner sat across from me, looked directly into my eyes without blinking for what felt like forever, and calmly told a complete fabrication. That moment taught me something I never forgot. The overcompensator understands the social rules. They know that most people associate eye contact with honesty. They know that confidence looks like truth. So they weaponize eye contact. They stare deeply into your eyes, not to connect with you, but to control you. That intense, unblinking gaze can trigger trust. It can make you feel safe. It can make you feel like, no one would look at me like this if they were lying. And that is exactly the trap. The manipulator overcompensates to hide the deception. The victim feels secure because the performance is so strong. But do not let the stare fool you. Even the most cold-blooded manipulator has a fatal weakness. They can control their face. They can control their voice. They can rehearse their words. But they cannot fully control the autonomic nervous system. And that is where everything changes. To understand this, imagine the brain as a high-end computer. When someone tells the truth, the brain is simply opening a file that already exists. The memory is already stored. The brain just reads it. Simple, low effort, minimal processing power. But when someone lies, the brain has to do something completely different. It has to build something that is not there. It has to invent details, track your reaction, stay emotionally steady, and remember every fake detail, so the story stays consistent later. That mental strain is called cognitive load, and when cognitive load spikes, the brain can short-circuit for a fraction of a second. That is when the tell appears, the 1-second glance, right after you ask a difficult or unexpected question. Watch the eyes closely. Just before the answer comes out, you may see a rapid, involuntary micro-flutter. A fast eye movement. Up and to the right. Why up and to the right? Because that direction is commonly associated with visual construction, the brain assembling an internal image. In simple terms, the person may be mentally building a scene before speaking. They are not retrieving, they are creating, and that tiny movement can happen so fast, most people miss it completely. But once you learn to spot it, it becomes hard to ignore. And this is only the beginning, because the real signal, the most powerful one, is not the direction of the eyes. It is the center of the eye. The pupil is where the body tells the truth, even when the mouth does not. When the brain is under heavy cognitive load, when it is scrambling to build and manage a lie, the nervous system starts to react. The body reads deception as stress, and stress triggers the autonomic nervous system. That means the body begins to shift toward fight or flight mode, even if the person looks perfectly calm on the outside. Think of the pupil like the cooling fan in a computer. When a processor is under pressure, the fan works harder to keep the system from overheating. When the brain is overloaded by stress and mental effort, the pupil can dilate, it expands. This is a biological response, not a performance, not a habit, not a rehearsed gesture. A person can fake a smile. A person can fake confidence. A person can fake relaxed body language. But a person cannot simply decide to control pupil dilation in real time. You cannot rehearse that in a mirror. You cannot practice it away. And that is what makes it so important. I used to sit in meetings trying to decode everything. Crossed arms, hand movements, foot tapping, tone changes. But all of that can be misleading. Some people cross their arms because they are cold. Some people tap their foot because they are anxious. Some people sound flat because they are tired. General body language is easy to misread. The pupil is different. If someone is looking directly at you, telling an intense story, and their pupils suddenly expand with no change in lighting, your brain should pay attention. That may be the nervous system reacting to overload. That may be the body struggling to support a fabricated story. It is the biological system working overtime to keep the lie from collapsing. Now here is the important shift. When people first learn this, they often feel angry. They think, so people are really capable of this level of manipulation. Yes, but neuroscience adds a deeper layer. Many of these reactions are not evil in themselves. They are survival responses. The brain perceives danger. Maybe the danger is losing status. Maybe it is being exposed. Maybe it is shame. Maybe it is rejection. So the brain does what it is designed to do. Protect the self, fast, automatically, even if that protection comes in the form of a lie. When you understand this, something changes in you. You stop reacting emotionally. You stop feeling helpless. You stop getting pulled into the story. Instead, you become calm, detached, observant. You stop seeing a master manipulator. You start seeing a biological system under pressure. And once you can see the system, you can read it. That is where the real advantage begins. But before you can test a machine, you have to calibrate it. That brings us to the most useful tool in behavioral analysis, the 70-30 baseline rule. Before you can detect deception, you need to know what honesty looks like for that person. Every person has a different resting state, a different rhythm, a different way of speaking, thinking, and making eye contact. So first, create a low-stress conversation. Ask normal questions. Ask about the weather. Ask what they ate for breakfast. Ask about a favorite childhood memory. Keep it simple. Keep it neutral. During that baseline conversation, watch the eyes. Notice the rhythm. In many relaxed conversations, people tend to maintain more eye contact while listening and less while speaking. A common pattern is roughly 70% eye contact while listening and around 30% while speaking. Why? Because when people speak, they often look away briefly to access memory, organize thoughts, or build a clear sentence. That is normal. That is not deception. So during the baseline, pay attention to what is normal for this person. What does their natural eye contact look like? What do their pupils look like under the current lighting? How do they pause? How quickly do they answer simple questions? That is your baseline. Lock it in. Then ask the high-stress question. Ask the question that matters. And now you watch for the break in pattern. If they suddenly stop following their normal rhythm, if they lock into an intense, prolonged stare to overcompensate, if the eyes flick up and to the right before the answer, if the pupils suddenly expand for no lighting reason, then the baseline has been disrupted. The system is under strain. The biological machine is working too hard. And in that moment, you are no longer guessing. You are observing. Think about the next time your gut tells you something is wrong. The next time someone's words feel polished, but the story feels off. Will you keep listening to the words? Or will you watch the control panel? Will you trust the confident smile? Or will you watch the eyes and wait for the nervous system to speak? Because the power dynamic changes the moment you stop chasing the story and start reading the biology. That is the moment you stop being manipulated. That is the moment you become dangerous to liars. And once you learn this skill, you will never sit in a conversation the same way again. Do not leave yet, because the next psychological breakdown is even more powerful. In the next session, I will show you the exact body language posture that increases psychological pressure so strongly, a liar starts to unravel, even if you say nothing. Most people have no idea this silent interrogation technique exists. But once you understand it, your silence becomes a weapon. Subscribe now, and get ready to master the human mind.